This is your weekly report on corruption in the Philippine government. The Administrative Division Officer in charge of the Philippine Ports Authority's Port Management Office Palawan was killed in a shooting incident in front of his house in Puerto Princesa City Wednesday evening, the agency said. In a statement Thursday, the PPA strongly condemned the killing of attorney Joshua Abrina. "We denounce this act of violence in the strongest possible terms and call on law enforcement authorities to pursue all leads to bring the perpetrators to justice," it said. "Violence and intimidation have no place in a civilized society, and such actions will never deter the PPA community from performing its mandate of serving the Filipino people," it added. In a separate statement, the Puerto Princesa City Police Office said Abrina had just arrived home in Barangay San Jose from a prayer meeting with his family when an unidentified gunman shot him at 8:15 p.m. The victim was unloading their belongings from their vehicle and preparing to enter their residence when the incident happened. He was brought to the hospital but was declared dead on arrival. According to the city police, investigators are now gathering testimonies from witnesses, coordinating with local residents, and backtracking CCTV footage. A special investigation task group has been created to focus on the case. "We are committed to pursuing all leads and exerting our utmost effort to resolve this case promptly," the Puerto Princesa City Police Office said. Likewise, "We appeal to anyone who may have relevant information that could aid in the investigation to come forward and immediately coordinate with Police Station 2 or directly with the Puerto Princesa City Police Office," it added. In a statement, Education Secretary Sonny Angara said the DepEd Central Office is joining the entire education community and the people of Palawan in mourning the loss of Abrina, who previously served as legal officer of DepEd Palawan. "We honor his service, his integrity, and his unwavering commitment to protecting learners' rights and strengthening the department's legal foundations," Angara said. He condemned the attack, calling it a senseless act of violence against a member of our institution and the legal profession, and urged law enforcement to ensure swift justice. DepEd said it is fully cooperating with the investigation and appealed to the Philippine National Police, the National Bureau of Investigation, and the Integrated Bar of the Philippines to lend their support. The department also emphasized the need to safeguard Abrina's family and possible witnesses. "His dedication to education and the rule of law will continue to inspire our mission of ensuring that every Filipino learner is nurtured in a safe, just, and compassionate environment," Angara added. Acting Ombudsman Dante Vargas has directed the preventive suspension of 16 personnel from the Department of Public Works and Highways Bulacan 1st District Engineering Office amid issues of corruption on flood control projects. According to the Office of the Ombudsman, the preventive suspension was effective beginning Thursday, the 18th of September. The suspension came after DPWH Secretary Vince Dizon filed criminal complaints against several personnel last Monday. The DPWH Secretary said that the agency is targeting to file at least one corruption case every week as the Independent Commission for Infrastructure intensifies its probe on alleged anomalous flood control projects. Commission on Audit Chairperson Gamaliel Cordoba also endorsed additional fraud audit reports in relation to flood control projects that are located in the municipalities of Plerigal, Pandy, and Bocor. The flood control projects, which are in question, were being tagged as ghost or graft-ridden projects, either through the lack of necessary supporting documents, non-existence of any civil works, discrepancy in the pinpointed location, and even flawed approved bid plans. The said projects have been allocated with a total cost of 389.6 million pesos. The Ombudsman said that the suspension order was issued to prevent the concerned personnel concerned from exerting influence over the ongoing investigation. This was also done to safeguard public records and ensure that accountability measures can proceed without obstruction. 2 employees of the Land Transportation Office assigned to the City of San Fernando District Office have been dismissed for their alleged involvement in an illegal transaction that led to the release of driver's licenses without the required examinations and in exchange for money. Documents obtained by the Inquirer showed that LTO Region 3 Director, retired General Ronnie Montejo, on the 10th of September approved the recommendation of the Regional Adjudication Action Board to dismiss the 2 employees, an Administrative Officer 3 and an Administrative Officer 4. The RAAB made its recommendation on the 5th of September. A separate case was also filed against the district's Chief Administrative Officer. However, Jurisdiction over her case rests with the LTO Assistant Secretary in line with the 2017 rules on administrative cases in the civil service and other regulations. Only the 2 lower-ranked officers fell under the regional director's authority. According to the RAAB's investigation, 2 informants from the Criminal Investigation and Detection Group Region 3 were able to secure driver's licenses on the 13th of January after allegedly paying 30,000 pesos through a suspected fixer known as John. The licenses were issued without the applicants undergoing the required written and practical examinations. The informants, who later became complainant witnesses, said they personally saw through a glass counter how John handed the money to LTO personnel, which was then allegedly passed on to the district chief. The respondents denied the allegations, claiming the complainants were lying and insisting that the applicants underwent the proper procedures. They also argued that the presence of a fixer inside the office was unlikely. RAAB Chair Renato Macalasang and 6 other board members found the informant's claims highly plausible. They noted that the alleged money exchange took place inside the cashier's glass-encased booth, designed to ensure transparency in financial transactions, making it possible for witnesses to see the act. The board stressed that aside from their denials, the respondents failed to present evidence to counter the allegations. They had earlier been placed under a 90-day preventive suspension starting the 26th of May. Meanwhile, CIDG Region 3 operatives arrested John in an entrapment operation on the 17th of January at a medical clinic near the LTO office, 4 days after the alleged transaction. The suspected fixer is facing charges before the municipal trial courts in San Fernando. A second delivery rider on Thursday filed a complaint before the National Police Commission against 11 Manila Police District Drug Enforcement Unit officers for allegedly abducting him. In a press briefing at the Napolcom Central Office, the agency's Inspection, Monitoring and Investigation Service Chief Edmund Perez did not name the respondents but said the group is comprised of 4 staff sergeants, 2 master sergeants, 2 patrolmen, a major, a corporal and a senior master sergeant. The complainant, who identified himself as Nicolaoin Saliza, accused the officers of forcibly taking him and fellow delivery rider Chester Dumaran into a vehicle and driving them around Rizal province for hours last the 9th of September over allegedly fabricated drug charges. Saliza said he and Dumaran knew each other from their delivery app and were meeting to catch up with each other on the 9th of September when the group of officers supposedly accosted them. They pointed guns at us and beat us up in the car, Saliza told reporters in a briefing at the Napolcom Central Office. They were trying to get us to confess to something we did not do. That's when they started driving around. Dumaran managed to escape when the group returned to Manila and stopped to eat, but Saliza was left behind and taken to the MPD headquarters in Amita. Why was Dumaran able to escape, but Saliza was not? The latter answered, "The handcuffs on me were tight. He was near the door, and the handcuffs on him were loose. I was taken to a room and they began hurting and threatening me," he claimed. Saliza, however, was released pending further investigation by the Manila City prosecutor last the 11th of September, according to Napolcom Vice Chairperson and Executive Officer Rafael Calinizan. Saliza stressed that he was not involved with illegal drugs and claimed that he only underwent a general medication examination and not a drug test while in police custody. Asked to comment, in a phone interview with reporters in Camp Crame later on Wednesday, MPD spokesperson Major Philippine maintained, "On our end, he was arrested because we had a drug operation, and he was a subject of it. If there were abuses, we are open here. He can go to us here and file an appropriate case to charge them with," he added. Last Friday, Dumaran filed his own complaint before Napolcom against an initial number of 7 MPD-DEU personnel. Perez noted that Saliza's complaint still involved the initial 7 officers but included 4 more personnel who were also supposedly part of the operation. In response, according to Inez, the MPD relieved all 19 personnel of its DEU, with the 7 officers initially tagged being transferred to the National Capital Region Police Office. Napolcom Vice Chairperson and Executive Officer Rafael Calinizan said, in connection to Dumaran and Saliza's complaints, the agency received information that some of the 11 police officers accused were also part of an allegedly anomalous 20th of June anti-drug operation in Tondo. A police report obtained by Inquirer.net showed the officers declared that they had arrested 2 suspects and confiscated 700,000 pesos by bus money and a coin purse during the operation. However, closed-circuit television footage circulating online appeared to show the officers leaving the operation premises with an unspecified number of other bags, the contents of which have yet to be determined. Kalinizan said Napolcom opened a motu proprio investigation into the supposed incident. Meanwhile, Inez declined to comment on the matter, saying the MPD had yet to access the CCTV footage in question. An alleged member of the military was arrested after he threatened to shoot 3 people in Tres Martires, Cavite on Friday night. Complainants Joe, Maybeth and Rai told police they were standing in front of a house in Barangay de Ocampo when the suspect, identified only as Toffa, arrived in a vehicle at past 11 p.m. Probers said that without provocation, Toffa hurled invectives against the complainants and drew a gun. A resident sought the help of the police, who responded and arrested the suspect. A police corporal landed in jail after he allegedly shot dead his fellow officer in Cotabato City, Cotabato on Thursday night. Corporal Renant Villanueva surrendered to the Cotabato City police on Friday morning. He reportedly admitted shooting Corporal Kim Lloyd Pedregosa multiple times. Probers said Villanueva claimed he was drunk when he committed the crime, which occurred at the police barracks along Alem Street in Barangay Poblacion. Pedregosa was declared dead on arrival in a nearby hospital, while Villanueva fled after the shooting, according to Lieutenant Colonel Domina de Palagan Jr., Cotabato City Police Chief. Leyte police arrested a police officer from the province involved in a fatal shooting incident in Barangay Balar of Tonga Town on Sunday. The Leyte Police Provincial Office, headed by Police Colonel Dionisio D. Ciapas Jr., identified the victim only by his alias Jonah, 56, a farmer from Barangay Paragum, Carigara, Leyte. The suspect policeman was also identified only by his alias Nonoy, 53, a resident of Barangay Abango, Barugo, Leyte. Initial investigation showed that the two were having a drinking session at the house of the policeman's aunt when an argument broke out. The victim, allegedly intoxicated, drew a bladed weapon and stabbed the suspect once. The suspect evaded and fired a warning shot, but when the victim allegedly continued his attack, he shot him in the neck. The victim was declared dead on arrival at the Carigara District Hospital. Responding to the report, the Tonga Municipal Police Station, in coordination with the Carigara Police, pursued and arrested the suspect at the same hospital where he was also being treated. Authorities also recovered a 9mm Jericho pistol from the suspect. The 2 fired cartridge cases at the crime scene were processed by scene of crime operation operatives. The suspect is now under the custody of the Tonga Police. The PNP does not condone any wrongdoing, regardless of rank or position. The swift arrest of the suspect shows our firm commitment to uphold the rule of law and ensure that justice is served without fear or favor, APAS said. The Commission on Audit has ordered the municipality of Aroroy in Masbate to refund 1.09 million pesos in overpaid local business taxes to Philminera Resources Corporation. In a decision, the COA granted the petition of FRC for the refund of 1,099,877 pesos. In its petition, FRC submitted the Masbate City Regional Trial Court's the 11th of December, 2017 decision which ordered the municipality of Aroroy to refund the taxes paid by the firm. Later, the RTC issued a writ of execution on the 8th of July, 2020. The FRC also submitted to the COA a certification from the town's acting treasurer who attested that the firm has not been refunded of the taxes paid. In its decision, the COA cited Section 2(b), Rule 8 of its 2009 revised Rules of Procedure that claims against the government funds should be supported with complete documentation. In this case, FRC complied, it said. The COA ruled, in fine, this commission is convinced that the above documents are sufficient to justify the payment. Further, the decision has already attained finality. As a rule, a final judgment may no longer be altered, amended, or modified, and any attempt on the part of the responsible agency is charged with the execution of a final judgment to insert, change, or add matters not clearly contemplated in the dispositive portion violates the rule on immutability of judgments. The decision also stated, the 5-page decision was signed by Chairperson Gamaliel Acordaba and Commissioners Mario G. Lipana and Douglas Michael N. Malilin. Based on its website, FRC said it is one of the country's largest operating gold ventures and has played a significant role in Aroroy's reclassification from 4th to 1st class municipality since 2007. 3 former barangay officials in Naga City and Cebu were sentenced to up to 20 years in prison for graft over disbursements amounting to 80,000 pesos for a ghost basketball court and barangay hall renovation projects. In a decision affirmed by the Sandigan Bayan 3rd Division on the 12th of September, in the 22-page decision, The Sandigan upheld the ruling of the Cebu City Regional Trial Court Branch 5 finding former Barangay Baron Councilors Reynaldo Espinoza and Bernardino Cania and former Barangay Treasurer Felix Lacra guilty of 2 counts each of violation of Section 3E of Republic Act 3019 or the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act. The trial court had earlier sentenced the former officials to 6 to 10 years of imprisonment for each count of the offense, or a total of 12 to 20 years for both counts. They were also ordered to jointly reimburse 80,000 pesos to Barangay Baron, equivalent to the amount of public funds found to have been illegally dispersed. The cases against the primary accused, former Barangay Baron Chairman Rufino Sabinal, were ordered dismissed by reason of his death. The cases stemmed from the disbursements by the defendants of 30,000 pesos and 50,000 pesos in June and the 20th of July 10, respectively, for the supposed purchase of construction materials for the repair and improvement of a basketball court and a barangay hall. The disbursed funds were supposedly paid to supplier Golden C&J Marketing even when no such projects were implemented by the barangay. In upholding the conviction of the 3 former officials, the 3rd Division said the Office of the Ombudsman prosecutors were able to prove conspiracy to commit the crime particularly by accomplishing fictitious programs of work, purchase orders, job orders, accomplishment, inspection and acceptance reports and other supporting documents, and making it appear that the projects were implemented. The signatures of Espinoza, Cania, Lacra and Sabinal facilitated the disbursement and release of 30,000 pesos and 50,000 pesos for the repair, renovation or improvement of the basketball court fence and barangay hall, respectively. Espinoza and Cania knew that the projects were never implemented because they accompanied the Commission on Audit team in the ocular inspection of the basketball court and barangay hall. The 3rd Division said, the checks would not have been issued and released without the disbursement vouchers, programs of works and bills of materials, accomplishment reports, payrolls, job order, purchase orders, and inspection and acceptance reports which they signed, it added. The Department of Public Works and Highways has filed an administrative complaint against the district engineer of Baguio City for allegedly refusing to cooperate in the ongoing investigation into flood control projects. In a 2-page order, DPWH Secretary Vince Dizon also slapped a 30-day preventive suspension against Baguio City District Engineer Rene Zarate. The order said Zarate refused to cooperate with the Independent Commission for Infrastructure, the body President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. formed to investigate flood control projects undertaken within the past 10 years. This office finds that a prima facie case exists against respondent Rene F. Zarate for gross neglect of duty, conduct prejudicial to best interest of service, gross insubordination, and violation of reasonable office rules and regulations under Section 63, A, 1, H, 2X, F, and C, 15, respectively, of the 2025 Rules on Administrative Cases and the Civil Service. The order, issued Monday, read, further, pursuant to Section 34 of the 2025 RACCS, and in view of the gravity of the offences charged, the respondent is hereby placed under preventive suspension for a period of 30 days, effective upon receipt hereof, it added. Zarate has been given 3 days to answer the charges. Should he fail to submit his answer within the period herein prescribed, the respondent shall be considered to have waived his right to submit the same and the case shall be decided based on available records, as provided under Section 31, Rule 6 of the 2025 RACCS, the order said. Administrative charges have been filed against 7 members of the Caloocan Police over the death of an altar boy who contracted leptospirosis as he waded through floods looking for his detained father, the National Police Commission said. They were charged with grave misconduct, grave dishonesty, incompetence, oppression and conduct unbecoming of a police officer. Napolcom Vice Chairman and Executive Officer Rafael Calinazan announced at a press briefing yesterday. Calinazan did not name the police personnel. The charges were filed by the Napolcom Inspection, Monitoring and Investigation Service before the agency's Legal Affairs Service, which will assign a hearing officer to handle the case and issue a summons to the respondents. Records showed that the teenager's father, Jason Dela Rosa, was arrested by police in July for allegedly stealing from a convenience store. While the store opted not to press charges, police personnel of the Caloocan substation 2 reportedly kept him in detention for 3 days before filing a complaint against him for illegal gambling or playing Carreri Cruise. Dela Rosa filed a case before the Napolcom in August, resulting in the relief of the Caloocan police substation commander and his men. Self-proclaimed Congress Miyawaki Cavite 4th District Representative Francisco Kiko Barzaga filed an ethics complaint against Deputy Speaker and Antipolo City 1st District Rep Ronaldo Ronnie Puño for insinuating that he was mentally ill. In the complaint received by the House Committee on Ethics and Privileges Tuesday afternoon, the 23rd of September, Barzaga called out Puño for allegedly committing acts that reveal a pattern of conduct in violation of the 1987 Philippine Constitution, the Republic Act No. 6713, and applicable jurisprudence. The eccentric congressman said respondent Puño made unfounded insinuations of mental illness against a political critic, the complainant, without presenting any medical record, professional evaluation, or clear and convincing evidence. Such reckless accusation violates Article 2, Section 1 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution, which guarantees due process, the complaint read. In a press conference last the 15th of September, Puño repeatedly described Barzaga as being not well, even as he criticized the latter's habit of bad-mouthing high-ranking government officials on his Facebook. Puño also slammed the Dasmariñas city lawmaker for making lewd posts that appear to objectify women, and said it was unbecoming of a congressman. Ironically, it was during the same presser that Puño and the rest of the National Unity Party bared they planned on filing their own ethics rap against Barzaga. Barzaga cried foul over this supposed suppression of political dissent in the House of Representatives. Respondent sought to employ the Committee on Ethics and Privileges as a tool to silence political dissent. Instead of preserving the integrity of the House, he weaponized the committee's processes to intimidate critics. Complainant, thereby any action by a legislative body, including the Ethics Committee, that suppresses political dissent or punishes members for their speech would be subject to challenge for violating the constitutional guarantee of free speech and expression. The complaint read. He also defended himself from Puño's accusations regarding these posts, and claimed that the latter was harassing him. Respondent unnecessarily dragged the private life of the complainant into his accusations, citing cosplay photographs and social media posts made even prior to the 20th of July 25. The complainant was not yet a congressman at the time the photographs in question were taken. This constitutes harassment and even violates the complainant's constitutional right to privacy. Read the complaint. Citing all of these, Barzaga asked the ethics panel to investigate the actions of Congressman Ronaldo Ronnie Puño and impose the appropriate sanctions as may be warranted to preserve the honor of the House of Representatives and uphold the Constitution. In response, Puño simply said he would reply to the complaint based on proper procedure. I will reply to any complaint when and if it is submitted to the Ethics Committee and according to the procedure they will prescribe, the Deputy Speaker and NUP Chairman said. The International Criminal Court prosecutor has formally charged former President Rodrigo Duterte with crimes against humanity. In a court document signed by Deputy Prosecutor Mame Mandayainang, the ICC prosecutor accused Duterte of being liable for dozens of murders that allegedly took place between 2013 to 2018. Duterte was charged with 3 counts of crimes against humanity, involving the death of 78 individuals in the anti-illegal drugs campaign while he was Davao City Mayor and during his term as president. The prosecution charges the murders and attempted murders below, although the actual scale of victimization during the charge period was significantly greater, as reflected in the widespread nature of the attack. The document read, Count 1 involves murder as a crime against humanity in Davao City of the 19 victims between 2013 and 2016, while Count 2 charges the former chief executive with murder as a crime against humanity of high-value targets in locations across the Philippines involving 14 victims between 2016 and 2017. Count 3 involves murder and attempted murder as crimes against humanity in barangay clearance operations in locations across the Philippines of 45 victims during his presidency between 2016 and 2018. The ICC prosecutor alleged that Duterte is liable for the crimes charged in counts 1 to 3 for indirect co-perpetration, ordering and inducing, and aiding and abetting. During the mayoral period, the attack was carried out predominantly by the Davao City Police and paid non-police hitmen who together comprised the Davao Death Squad. The court document read, during the presidential period, the attack was carried out by the National Network, predominantly law enforcement personnel with non-police assets and hitmen under their direction and or control. An investigation by the National Police Commission into a former Highway Patrol Group official accused of accepting a 7 million pesos bribe has the full cooperation of the Philippine National Police. Acting PNP Chief Police Lieutenant General Jose Melencio Nartates Jr. said the organization has already submitted the required documents and pledged continued assistance to ensure transparency and accountability in the proceedings. Administrative charges of grave misconduct and conduct unbecoming of a police officer were filed against the former HPG Special Operations Division Chief. The complaint followed allegations by 5 officers that the official dropped charges against a motorist arrested in Parañaque on the 13th of June, where firearms were discovered in the suspect's vehicle. The officers claimed the former official received millions in exchange for leniency and special treatment. The respondent denied the accusations, saying the arrest was based on a Pasay court warrant that was recalled in the 20th of July 24. He has also filed a counter-complaint against the 5 policemen before the Ombudsman. We are fully cooperating with Napolcom in their administrative proceedings. The PNP is providing all necessary records and assistance to ensure the case is resolved fairly and swiftly, Nartates said. The PNP leadership wants to make it clear, we do not condone corruption in any form, he added. To prevent similar cases, Nartates said the PNP has tightened auditing of financial transactions and operational clearances within the HPG. He also noted intensified monitoring of personnel and strengthened anti-corruption safeguards. That's all for this week. I'll see you next Friday with more stories of corruption and foolishness within the Philippine government.